Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You're listening to Mexican Crossing Lines on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Tonight, my show is a continuation of the coverage I've been doing about the con artivists and mercenary activists involved with migrants and the caravan. Of course, you know, in October of 2018, such a caravan arrived, thousands strong, in Tijuana, Baja California. And it appears to me that many of the activists that were central to the organizing around Families Belong Together, Minority Humanitarian Foundation, Al Otro Lado, Pueblos Sin Fronteras, and the coordination of fundraising, the coordination of moving the migrants, as you know, to do these violent clashes with the police, the Border Patrol, both in Mexico and in the United States, that occurred at the behest of the American Border Support Network activists that I have been talking to you about. The latest of which, Evan Duke, the founder of the Border Support Network, was recently arrested for rioting in Portland, Oregon. Tonight I'm going to tell you about the second wave. The second wave of people that are coming, that are going to be going there, and why I believe that is the case. I see the same folks getting together to go back into Tijuana, or re-arriving in Tijuana. I already showed you some of them. Jake Lee Harris was in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
What was he doing? Maybe organizing all of the Africans that showed up in Mexico?
Maybe.
But you know what? He's back in Tijuana just in time to help his buddy and fellow activist, fellow escort of migrant caravans, working with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Douglas Oviedo, to get his asylum and to come into the United States, along with Kei Kurimoto and many others who are all celebrating this incredible success. One frickin' person out of a handful of frickin' people that have actually gotten asylum, which they enticed with lies, with manipulations, by telling them that they were going to help them, that they were going to get asylum, that they had every right to seek asylum.
And they're raising plenty of money again. It's a whole thing over. It's a reunion in Tijuana. And they're flocking back down there and linking up with the buddies who have stayed there. And they need to do some fundraising. Now they got to take care of more people. Their little coffers must have dried up a bit, you know. They're back on task, and they're asking more people to fund what they want funded, which is actually themselves.
And their fraud friends, too. All of it is happening. It is ramping up. I am watching it happen. And so I'm bringing you this message about the second wave, Tijuana's second wave. I would like to believe, and I would like to hope, and I would like to pray that this is not going to be as bad as the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that were left stranded in Tijuana, that are still currently, many of them still in Tijuana, and that are possibly now going to be joined by thousands more. You know, they kept telling us over the summer, they kept saying to us, oh, Mexico's doing a great job. They're stopping all these migrants. They're using the National Guard. Things definitely are going to decrease. We've seen a lot of decrease. And I have a reason why that is. It's called the weather. And I think that just like last year around this time when they showed up, there's going to be more. So we're going to talk about all of that on tonight's show. But first, I wanted to thank you for your support. I wanted to ask you to join our super chat right after this. We will be bringing you an analysis by someone we've had on our show before, but she comes to add new information about the trip that they took together to Vegas. Mary Tando will be on my super chat. She will also be talking about what she's seen from Paloma for Trump, aka Paloma Zuniga de Lint, in the weeks since she was on my show. And it's very, very interesting what she has to say about it. Plus, Mary's been talking to, you guessed it, another new victim.
Oh, boy.
There are so many.
There are many.
But at least now they're uniting. We're going to talk about all of that on the Super Chat directly after the show. But first, I want you to know how you can get a hold of us and support the work of this station.
Not a problem. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It's really appreciate having this audience with us. As Cindy said, don't forget to go to the Super Chat right after this program, probably about 10, 15 minutes.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, Duke1517. That's the YouTube channel, Duke1517. It actually resolves Duke Gomez-Schempp. If you just type in Duke1517, you'll find my channel. So basically, if you want to get a hold of us, there's a lot of ways. You can do email, cindy@kpppfm.com, or me, Duke@kpppfm.com. You can go to Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, a People's Press Project of Mexi-Can. And don't forget to go to kpppfm.com. And that's our main radio station website. And there you can find the Mexican Crossing Line shows, finding me. You can find the other programming we're doing, a lot of the shows we've done in the past. But also when you're there, you can donate to our nonprofit organization because we are a non-commercial, nonprofit radio station in Fargo Moorhead. And we do programming in this community. And we also do live videos across the country and internationally. And we spread this news and these news programs all over the place. We're bringing in new people in the community. We have the policy, which is conservatives of color do a show every Monday in the afternoon around 2:30 or 3, and then they do a Facebook Live, and it goes on the radio airwaves here in Fargo Moorhead at 5 o'clock every Monday. And there are some really astute young men who have been putting together a lot of material, and again, they're conservatives of color, and I think they're the new wave of the next politicians that are going to help lead this country, because I think their ideas and beliefs are quite intellectual and insightful. I love listening to them. It's called The Policy. They have they have a Facebook site. Raheem Williams runs that. Check them out when you get a chance, and also check out their shows that we have on YouTube and here on our channel on Facebook. So enjoy the show tonight. It's going to be a doozy, and don't forget to join us on the Super Chat afterwards.
Yes. I wanted to tell you that yesterday when we were talking about the person that received asylum, the one person that they've been celebrating all throughout the Border Support Network that got asylum, happened to work as an escort of the caravans. And a spokesperson for the migrants in the caravan noticed that they had the same dude in every news clip, every event, the vigil for the two dead migrants, the dad and the little girl that drowned in the Rio Bravo that was on Playas. They had him in every news clip, the music events that they did, the art events that they did with the Border Angels, working with Gaba Cortez and her husband, Hugo Castro. This particular migrant, a rapper, turns out he got asylum because he was the youth pastor back home that was helping MS-13 people leave their gangs. And that's exactly why the last person, or the first person that got asylum, again, one out of a handful, a literal handful. I'm not talking about dozens and dozens of people. I'm talking about a literal handful of people that have actually received asylum. And they just so happen to have similar stories. They just so happen to both be youth pastors, fearful of the gang members of MS-13. And, you know what I find really remarkable? That these same youth pastors traveled in caravans with MS-13 in them.
Wow.
We know that for a fact. I have an interview that I haven't shared from a different shelter from when I went to Tijuana, where I asked a woman that was part of the caravan whether she saw MS-13 in the caravan, and she said yes. And I said, were you scared of them? What were they there for? She said that they used them as security within the caravan. This is like the criminal element that was brought to Standing Rock, many of them violent, dangerous felons that were put on the security teams.
Wow.
The people from Standing Rock know exactly what I'm talking about. Frank Archambault. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Fassig.
Exactly.
Mike Marcus. Marcus Mitchell. Ed Higgins. Evan Duke. I could go on and on. Folks, these people were frauds, did frauds, promoted frauds. Lolly B among them. In fact, one of the last major fraudulent money-making scheme they came up with was Marcus Mitchell pretending to get shot in the chest and putting up a fake picture of a 12-year-old Japanese medical book x-ray that he attributed to himself while in the hospital. And I say that in air quotes because he never went to the hospital. For 2 gunshot wounds he never received, off of which Lolly B and Border Support Network people and Standing Rock people helped raise thousands of dollars for. And they didn't apologize when I exposed the fact that they did this.
Nope.
They actually did videos trashing me for saying that what they did was wrong. I didn't just blame the liar that lied about getting shot to get the money. I blamed everyone that shared it because they share frauds. They raise money for frauds. It's what they do. They were out there raising donations for all the people staying in the streets. Who put them in the streets? The organizers. They did. They were out there crying because these people were going to go into the horrible hieleras, into the horrible concentration camps in the United States. Who trained them, told them they had to go through that process in order to seek asylum, which they didn't qualify for? You, Lolly B. You people from the Al Otro Lado Crooked Lawyers Group. You, the people at Enclave Caracol. You, River Doherty. You, all of you mercenary activists that were out there keeping the people in the streets, keeping them from getting the help that they needed in the government provided facilities. They didn't want them to go to the government provided facilities because they couldn't pump them full of drugs to control them, and they also couldn't go in there into the government run facilities and call the shots and do whatever the hell they wanted. And you know what? They're back in Tijuana, and that should scare the bejeebus out of everyone.
It should.
I mean, it really should scare you that these people are back in Tijuana. It does not bode well. Yes, some of them never left. But there was a lull. There was a decrease, a sharp decrease of the people. In fact, there's a certain pendeja for fraud that has been running her mouth about who and what's going on at the border, as if she cared, as if it mattered to her, as if she knows, as if she really knows what's going on. Saying, why do they keep filming? Why are these people filming? Why are they filming at the border? There's nothing happening at the border anymore. Nothing's happening at the border anymore. Really? Really? Why is she trying to divert the attention from what's happening at the border? Maybe to cover up for her friends who are just returning there.
That's right.
And want to go undetected. Lolly posted that she is seeking donations for a certain shelter. I wonder if it's the shelter of El Puente that her friend Oviedo just inaugurated a couple of days before being granted asylum in the United States and leaving it.
Yeah.
To be run by someone else. So he had such an enriching life in Mexico. He did music concerts.
Oh, yeah.
He helped to build a shelter. He was on TV unnumbered at times. I mean, I can't count all the times I saw Oviedo on TV. or in a vigil or in a news story over and over and over and over and over again. Just like they did with Maria Mesa, the woman that ran through the tear gas with their kids. Just like they did with Jovi, the boy with Down syndrome, and his mother that stayed in that cold tent in the street with her kid instead of going to the government shelter. Just like they did with the little girl in the wheelchair with cerebral palsy.
Oh yeah.
They were in the videos, they were in the news, they were in the live streams, they were on the pages they were on television over and over and over and over and over again. And I think that the new shelter is the new focus because this is the business of the coyotes and the smugglers. Open up shelters that don't have control of the government isn't controlling, that they can padlock from the outside, like the Border Angels shelter that Paloma Zúñiga just walked through like it was her house.
Exactly.
That they can use as stash houses for the migrants that they're going to cross for money. This is a money-making business, don't you know?
Oh, yeah.
That's how this works, folks. These people that run the shelters also have stash houses. Sometimes they rent entire hotel buildings, hotels, this whole hotel where they rent rooms out to the migrants for a cheap price sometimes in squalor. Sometimes they have to share 10 to a room or, like sardines. But they're there in these places for a purpose. They're privately run so that they can keep people off their private property, including reporters, including police and investigators and FBI and DEA and ATF, you name it, they don't want them there. They don't want people poking their noses around and asking questions and finding out that these are stash houses that are being used to move people. But that's not even it. These con artivists were renting places out and putting people up in these stash houses that were unaccompanied minors, like the one they helped to kidnap from the Agape shelter, Carlos. You remember all that?
Oh yeah.
We up to speed on what's coming back to Tijuana right now.
Yeah. Just go back and watch the shows from last year.
I know there's a lot of people that have not been watching me since last year, or that have only recently become followers of a Mexican Crossing Lines. But if you go back and watch my shows and or read the article I published on Tori Says, Tori Maras Lindemann is the radio host of Red State Radio, nationally syndicated show, and she had me on to talk about the situation with this kid that was kidnapped named Carlos by these Border Support Network activists who the pastor told me provided drugs to the people in the caravan. He said they controlled the migrants in the caravan. He said, Cindy, they control the migrants in the caravan with drugs. Those who aren't addicted are terrified of those who are. Those were his words on my show. And he told me that they threatened to kill the boy for exposing the fact that they had provided drugs to the caravan migrants inside of his shelter.
Yep.
He had been wondering who was passing out the free drugs. It was the people that organized these folks. That's who was doing it. And Lolly B does not just represent that. Lolly B represents funding and the connections to the media and the connections to the people that are the lawyers, the crooked lawyers groups that are doing all of the lawsuits against the Trump administration currently so that they can keep criming for as long as possible. This is, yes, the migrants are being used as mules to cross drugs and weapons and smuggle in people and do human trafficking. But let me tell you that the drug business has nothing on the trafficking business. A person can be trafficked, can be sold over and over and over again. Coyotes take money from one person, do not deliver them to the location promised, and simply pass migrants on to a different coyote that then extorts another amount of money in order to let them go. This has been reported on in Mexico a lot. It is rampant. And that is exactly what people like Lolly and these con artists in the Border Support Network expose: vulnerable, desperate people, many of whom, as I said, are exploiting a loophole that they do not qualify for and for which they will likely be deported after all their troubles. I also showed you on my show yesterday that they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care what happens to these folks.
No, they're all about themselves.
This is a money-making venture, Duke, and it's in the billions.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. Money, 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 money. That's all they care about. Sound similar to anybody you know? All they care about is the money. Mm-hmm. Well, she requested a donation for the shelter. The connection isn't available there, but I believe that it is the new shelter that they are running because they've raised money for almost every other shelter that they work with and through to move people in this whole business of smuggling.
Yep.
This is a post she made about being in San Diego and asking someone to leave her car in Tijuana. Maybe the car is known now and she's concerned. So she has to cross on foot so she can be getting in. Border Patrol, if you're listening to my show, could you please check out
Lolly B.
Be on the lookout for Laura Cristina Livingston Berga, because that is her real name. Her real name is not Lolly B. Healin', because Lolly ain't be healing nothing.
Lolly be running.
Lolly be running. Lolly be messing stuff up. But Lolly is not healing. No. Right. And once again, she is posting her support for people who are, in this case, crazy. I don't know if she's a fraud. I don't know if Sherry Foytlin currently is really without food or clothing because she just got robbed.
Oh my God.
As she says in this post, that of course, Lolly B. Lion is sharing all over on social media. She says she wants to help her out, but I do know that Sherry is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Sherry Foytlin is the one that was at that protest in Salt Lake City, Utah, one day saying cops and the Klan go hand in hand and laughing like a Disney witch.
Yep, I remember.
And then in Texas, harassing people from a children's shelter, from a place where migrants are detained or held or housed. Because they wouldn't let her come in and volunteer.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh man, that was
That's
crazy.
Sherry Foytlin.
Yeah.
How does she get around from state to state to state to go and be a wackadoo?
Yeah, and she calls Lolly B called her a water protector. And it's just great water protector, then robbed, and it's like Sherry Foytlin. We did a whole show on her. I didn't think we'd have to talk about her anymore. And then here's Lolly B trying to raise money for her. Lolly B considers herself one of those influencers. And she runs around and does videos, and she can control money, and she talks about how people we don't want to work very hard. You just give us some money so we can do this work and not have to worry about it. And she's back at it. She kind of went dark for a month or so, and it's going to winter time in Tijuana again, you know.
Richard Vargas says, PM me the make, model, and plate number.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on there, Richard. I'm gonna show you something here in a minute. Hold on, okay? Everyone, get your pencils and your paper out, okay?
Yeah.
Here's the fundraiser for Sherry. This is part. I had to like screen capture it in 2 pieces. This is still part of the post, right? That they said, Sherry says, hate to do this, but I need help. They took all my jewelry, all my clothes and toiletries, everything I had to sell, and the tools I used to make them. I know it's just stuff. I'm glad we're all safe, but I don't have a job right now. You haven't had a job since Standing Rock. You have been a fraud since Standing Rock, a professional protester, agitator, chaos bringer, professional arrestee. Remember when she got arrested at that protest with Juanita Locke?
Oh, yeah.
And they were all screaming.
Right. Screaming out.
Yeah. That's what you do. Hey, I'm a fraud and a bum that goes from town to town on Go Fraud Me's with laundered money. Could you please help me out once again?
I guess she's no longer with the Indigenous Environmental Network, huh? She used to claim that's who she's working for. She doesn't have a job anymore. I thought as soon as they saw her doing the stuff she's out there doing with her videos, her live streams, that they were going to disassociate themselves from her.
They're not disassociating themselves from any of these people. They take them off officially. They take them off their official roles.
Yeah, they quit paying them.
They continue to pay them. They continue to pay them and support them and help them through GoFraudMe's and many other ways. They do not rescind their support. They do sometimes have to cut ties and even have fake fights so that it doesn't look like they're working with a bunch of criminals. But sadly, the cat is out of the bag. We already know that you work with frauds and criminals.
That's true.
And that you're open about it and you don't care and you're not apologetic about it. So that's cool. Here is a post that Valerie made to Lolly on her page letting her know that, oops, something happened to the whole entire show. There's Duke.
Hi, I'm back.
Completely.
Let's go back to you here.
That's cool. Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
Here, let's try
Here's
again.
the post.
Bam.
Where Valerie tells her that the fundraiser for the shelter she's talking about in Tijuana is a broken link. And Lolly responds, oh, that's good to know. I'll ask that person to make it private. I'm actually heading there now. So I will do another feed of the shelter. So she is going to go to Tijuana to a shelter and we'll be doing a live stream or a feed of information from the shelter about the shelter for the shelter.
Yep.
And I guess we'll find out if I was right or wrong. Okay? Are we taking any bets?
Nope, no bets.
Nope.
I already lost.
You lost a bet again. Oh, that's right. Somebody owes me dinner. If any of you brave souls out there want to bet with me, you are welcome to join in. But I'll tell you, I usually win. I
know.
Now, here's the post that Sherry made on her own page asking for help. And she posts this van.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if these two are going to team up anytime soon, if they're going to be teaming up, if this woman, as she recently did by heading to Texas and joining up with the Border Support Network people, as she has done in different protests where they are protesting the containment of children in detention centers as concentration camps and confrontations with Border Patrol at these facilities, I predict she will be heading down to visit with her fundraiser, Lolly Be Lion.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like
in
it.
Tijuana. Here's the van. Here's the color. What make and model do you think that is, Duke? I can't tell. Why don't you make it bigger and take a look?
Whoops.
Oops. That's the wrong one.
I messed up something else, but here, just give me a second. Kind of, people can screenshot it and
parking.
Zoom in.
Unavailable post? No. Sherry post Venmo. Sherry post Venmo.
Do this.
Make it ginormous. There we go. Okay. What is that?
I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know my vans.
You don't know your vans?
No.
Is that a Dodge?
Yeah, it looks like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Dodge. Dodge.
Well, there's a license plate number.
Yeah, but can you make it so that what color do you think that is? Is it gray or a light, a silvery blue?
Nope, it's gray.
It's a van.
Yep.
It's a 4-door van, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a silvery gray van. God, I wish I knew more about cars.
Yeah.
The license plate is right there, folks. We can find out who that's registered to. It says Dodge. I think it is a Dodge.
Yep.
I think it is a Dodge.
Yep.
I know Lolly recently bought a new van, so maybe this is her van and they're traveling together. I can't tell you for sure. It's interesting, though, because a lot of these frauds were traveling together after Standing Rock. And wasn't it weird how often their cars got robbed and their phones got stolen and their laptops got taken? And they had all their worldly possessions stolen from them. And then they needed help.
Yeah, then they go to the next thing that they're going to go take advantage of. I've always seen it as, well, I'm running low on cash. What can I do to get money? I already begged people for all the money to get here. Oh, now I know. I'll break my own window. And then I'll tell people we got robbed and we need a place to stay. I've seen people, when my car broke down this winter, I walked to the store. I took my daughter with me, put backpacks on. We'd go to the stores about about a mile from here. And this is, in here it gets, 20, 30 below zero. 20 below zero, we were out there walking down the street, fill up our backpacks at the grocery store. We'd have to decide not to buy as much groceries because it's heavy. And we walk back. And then I take the bus a few times for longer appointments. I did that for about, 2 weeks this winter because my car was broken. I never thought of going on and say, hey, okay, I'm doing to go fraud me because my car's broken. I need y'all to give me some money so I can fix it. I can see when someone is in really need, and medical need or all these different things and they just can't make ends meet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's even fundraisers on radio stations and television.
They do them here in town all the time. They do all sorts of fundraisers to help people.
In people's houses.
But I never heard anyone say, I'm doing a fundraiser because my car is broken. And
the people from Standing Rock seem to do it all the time.
All the time. Whenever they're low on money, something breaks in their car. And they get the money, too. I mean, one dude, he got his starter fixed. I'm
like, water pump broke.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have to go out and save money. I had to save money and figure out someone to fix it and figure out how to get my car there.
My tire is flat. Remember?
Yeah, my tire is flat.
Mason Bobby Leonard, they needed money for gas. They needed money for tacos. They needed money. They needed money for booze. They needed money for partying. They needed money to go. And that's what they did with the money in many of these cases. Mm-hmm. And I just find it very interesting that is something that we've seen since Standing Rock, and the pattern is back.
Yep.
So when I see that and I see the frauds that shared the fraudulent GoFraudMes in the past, sharing them again and raising money for their friends, I'm not all that surprised. All of these people have done it. Mm-hmm. All of them did it all the way going back to Standing Rock, and they continue to do it. Hey, why not? As long as it works and there's suckers out there that are willing to put the money in.
Exactly.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you remember that Sherry Foytlin was working for the Indigenous Environmental Network, whose pages and sister pages of new platforms that they've built, like the ones for the camps that they did, etc., have been sharing the messages of families belong together. Remember that page of the Indigenous Media Rising that had this picture on it?
That's right. I remember
as their banner at the top. Mm-hmm. Go to Indigenous Media Rising. I bet you they still have there, Sherry Foytlin's pictures. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because she's the one that took them for that page, because she works for the Indigenous Environmental Network with Dallas Goldtooth and Joy Braun and Candy Mossett White and Tom Goldtooth. They all work together. And of course, I want to remind people that her most recent connection to the Border Support Network was going down to Texas and to a bunch of different locations and yelling at people in her videos. Oh, yeah. Here she was at Southwest Key Casa Padre, home in Brownsville, where 1,400 boys, all under the age of 18, stay. We were forcibly separated. All were forcibly separated from their families at the border. Lies.
Yeah. We watched those videos.
Lies.
That was where they were, right? Yelling inside. They were yelling inside there. Hey, how do you volunteer? And they're like, there's some crazy people outside. We have no security. I just want to know how I can. Well, how do you get these kids? What's the process? It's like, I want to volunteer. I want to volunteer. You won't even let us volunteer? And they're talking really loud, and they're really rude, and they're really scary looking. And so that's her activism down there. She showed them. And the president,
that's all they do everywhere is go places and be scary.
Yeah.
And yell at people.
Yeah.
And film themselves.
Uh-huh.
You know, they go to these confrontations, and inevitably they get arrested. Here's one where they were at that Salt Lake City, Utah thing, the port, and it was a port opening, a new inland port that they were inaugurating, and they decided to go yell,
protest.
Cops and Klan go hand in hand and protest with animal costumes and drumming. That. You remember this nonsense?
I remember.
That's the other place Sherry Foytlin was at. Look at who posted it, though. It's none other than the criminal that's on the the Homeland Security database, Evan K. Duke III, that just got arrested in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Solidarity still here. Salt Lake City Chamber of Commerce is selling out. Local brown communities, give us back our babies. Abort the port. Remember this.
Yeah.
F ICE, F Trump, protect children. They couldn't protect
themselves.
They can't protect anything living.
True.
They can't protect anything living. That is why I find it so offensive. Not only that they're involved with vulnerable communities like those in the migrants that are stranded, some of them in Mexico right now, but also because they actually put people's lives at risk and put people in jail, and they lie. They don't care about destroying people's lives. They don't care about making up false stories and taking legal action that results in people going to jail and puts them in jeopardy of staying there for long periods of time, like they did to Kathleen Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not even look back. They don't feel shame. They don't feel remorse. These people don't have a conscience. Here is Sarah Sandoval, the very lady working with Oviedo, doing the videos from the shelter El Puente, the new women and children's shelter of all things, that opened up just before Oviedo got his asylum approved. This is the Sandoval that flies in a plane, not the Sandoval that works for the United Nations, who looks a lot like her, both of whom were at Standing Rock, both of whom support the Border Support Network, but apparently only one of whom is actually a UN worker. This Sandoval helped raise the money, and she happens to be friends with Laura Christina Livingston Berger. They both do yoga. They both love animals. Mm-hmm. They both travel around a lot with incomes that don't explain how the hell they travel around a lot. Well, at least one of them, because at least Sandoval, the flight attendant, has a reason to be flying around the world. Although how she can stand, normally flight attendants stay for a few hours in a layover, and then they have to fly on another flight back, right? They don't just get to stay in and hang out and vacation at these locations like Hawaii, where she was most recently at just after she left Tijuana. I mean, she was raising money to build this shelter that they built, that they got finished in record time, and then boom, she was in Hawaii at Mauna Kea, getting people riled up there, winding them up to get arrested and stop a telescope. They were trying to stop a science.
Yeah.
I thought you liked the science. They want people to believe in climate change and act as if it's like the end of the world at every moment. But that science, not so much. Not the telescope. They also, as you know, have in common, all of them working with the Border Support Network. that they support families belong together, run by Paola Mendoza. Here is Lalibel Lion sharing that on her page. And it is a video of Paola Mendoza. This was the woman, by the way, who took Maria Mesa in a video she did that Paloma Zúñiga just happened to film, where they were having a conversation.
Really?
Then she goes and confronts her, and they have an altercation. I don't know if it was staged or not. My guess is probably yes.
Yeah, sounds like it to me.
Yeah, because she doesn't expose what they're doing. Paloma's never really exposed what these people are doing. And in fact, I'm going to share with you how she behaves just like these people do. Just like the smugglers do. And remember, there is a large contingent of these American smugglers that were working all together with the migrants, with the organizers of the caravan and the escorts, coyotes, that were bringing the migrants in the caravan in groups through Mexico and up to Tijuana. Here's a group of them on Adam Elfer's page. They all took pictures of themselves. Note, the right under Doug McLean's head is, I believe, Douglas Oviedo, the guy that just got asylum. There's Lolly B and Jake Lee Harris, transgender activists that they were always together, working together. Kei Kurimoto, all the way down in front. The same people that were working with Oviedo, that were keeping the people in the streets, that were organizing them to have a clash against the federal police and Viento y Marea for 6 days. All of these clowns are working together. They have been detained at the border, as I showed you. They have been questioned by Homeland Security and Border Patrol. They are being investigated by Interpol and multiple countries. And yet, they're in Univision and many other news outlet videos celebrating the one dang asylum claim they managed to get for one of their buddies that helped them in the smuggling operation, Mr. Oviedo. Remember when they were all sharing these fundraisers? In this one that was shared on Beth Doherty's page, that's River Doherty's mom.
Okay, that's right.
You see all the Kei Kurimoto, the Jake Lee, the Douglas Oviedo, and some of the people, the hats there in the back row that were just in the previous picture. Look at this picture. Look at it for a minute. Now go back to Doug and Lolly and these folks. You see? Are you having deja vu? Are you seeing the same men in the same pictures with the same people working over and over and over again?
Yep.
Isn't it a coinky-dink that only the people that are working closely with the people that are moving the caravans, organizing the caravans, using the caravans as weapons against our own sovereignty, against our own border, are the only ones getting asylum? How lucky for them, huh? And of course, Sherry is kind of off of her rocker. But so, I mean, you could say this about almost all of these folks, that they're not all there, including Al Otro Lado lawyer Nicole Ramos, who you recently saw, Ben Berquam, Anthony Aguero, and Oscar El Blue Ramirez confronted in Mexico, in Tijuana, at Enclave Caracol. For those of you that don't follow America's Voice or Border Network News or any of the people I just mentioned, somebody's going to have to explain that to you. Maybe my moderator can, or other people in the comment section will. But you need to see that video of crazy Al Otro Lado lawyer, which we have exposed on a number of occasions, which we reported to you had made fake marriages. And I didn't just say, I showed the documentation. I showed the contracts that she made with people in Mexico where she's not supposed to be practicing law. I showed the videos. I showed the interviews with the pastor about them working with the migrants, with the activists that were involved in giving drugs to the caravan goers and the unaccompanied minor that was kidnapped from the shelter. Doesn't matter. Lolly B and these folks continue to support Al Otro Lado because, of course, they are all working hand in glove with each other. And here's a post of Lolly B's asking for donations for support of the legal resistance to the injustices of asylum-seeking friends that are being put, that their friends are being put through. And she says migrants that are returning to a dangerous border city that you took them to, that you enticed them to go to, with no support except for from you, which is why they always ask for you to donate to them. Let's just stop for a moment and think about what she is saying here. That somehow, until there's no court case, they have to survive. Somehow, they have to survive in Tijuana. And there's literally, they cannot go back to their homes. They cannot go back to their country. And they're just being returned to Tijuana. And they're being left there and they're being stranded. But the great people, who incidentally haven't taken any real cases of asylum claims from these migrants, they've just been suing the president. That's all they've been doing, Al Otro Lado. They don't take cases. I showed you videos where they say, we don't actually take individual cases. They don't. They took in millions and millions and millions of dollars to put in their pocket and to make these frivolous lawsuits against the Trump administration for all sorts of things that they have brought lawsuits for, just like the Standing Rock phonies did. And to what end? Where will it end? Will they win? Will the Supreme Court rule in their favor? Not looking like that's going to happen. Just like the pipeline got built, just like everything that they said they were going to sue Trump for didn't go anywhere. I trust and believe that this is going to be the same dang thing again. A repeat. A repeat of the nonsense. Lest you forget, these people are all on a watch list. They are being investigated for human smuggling. Not by me. Not by me. I've been uncovering it for months and months and months. They're being investigated by Interpol, Department of Homeland Security, the FBI. I'm not the only person reporting on this. There are many other people that are favorable to the Border Support Network, like the people at the San Diego Union Tribune, KPBS, Unicorn Riot, and many other platforms, which I have told you about, the least of which is The Intercept, because that's another major one. And yet, despite that fact, these folks are still walking around free in Mexico, no less, doing their business. Remember, Lolly B is one more of the people that is involved with this, I believe to be fraudulent criminal organization doing human smuggling and trafficking. Here, the Border Support Network. And you see Lolly B. There's her picture as an admin and moderator. And there's her name. And of course, Gary is on there, the veteran that helped to start the camps. There's Janice Stone, the woman that we were just talking about, the Border Support Network. Janice Stone is the one that's in the Bahamas right now, folks. She was the one that was in, defrauding people in Puerto Rico. These people are not just opportunists. They are also disaster and poverty porn vultures. Listen to me carefully. And they know it. They know what they are and they don't care. They are opportunists. They show up and they pick the carcass clean. Then they move on. The Border Support Network moderators. Oh, guess who else is heading to the Bahamas, dude?
Who's that?
The guy that was just in Mauna Kea, that we have exposed a number of times since Standing Rock for being a fraud. He was in Puerto Rico too. I'm going to give you more hints until you guess.
Oh,
He's
can I start
a
guessing
drone
now?
operator.
Terrence Daniels?
Yes, he is now headed to the Bahamas.
Ding, 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 ding. Do I get a bear? Do I get a bear?
You
Do I get
get a bear from the back. Oh, wait, over here. You get an imaginary bear for guessing right. Okay, now, BSN moderators include Doug McLean, right? Include Lolly B, Vivian, Jana, Joe Plouffe is another people that started the camps in Texas that we've been talking about. And Wambly Wicasa, of course, is one of the many names of oh my God, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Oh.
The one that went down to Tijuana with Evan Duke and his drum.
Oh,
That was
Orlando Cruz?
No, he was
Myron
in
Dewey?
Texas. No. The one that was with Dwayne Redwater, the other guy.
Oh, well. Never asked me
You
for
never
names.
remember the name.
No, I don't even know why you asked me. I'll get one every once.
Bristy knows. Bristy, who was it? The two was Dwayne Redwater, and his name is like, he uses so many different names. No, it's not Orlando, Colleen. It's the two that went down to Tijuana with Evan. The two that were down there with Evan when, no, it's not JD Bristy. It's,
I'll move on.
and
I'll never get it.
It's gonna drive me crazy. It's Joy Brun's nephew. Oh, and she was also dating Desiree Kane when they started Standing Rock, before she went on to the artist guy, the Navajo guy that started the Indian Problem, who she stole the platform from, and before she started dating Aldo Seoane. What's his name?
Don't know.
No, not Rob Wilson, Colleen. Are you guys playing with me? I know you guys know all of the names. God dang it. Okay, all right, fine. Let's just move on.
Move on.
Nope, it's not Miguel. It's going to drive me crazy.
Someone said Rob Wilson, but
No, it's not Rob Wilson. It's not Rob Wilson. Oh, my God.
Oh, well.
If Josh was here or Ren was here, they'd help me and they'd know what the name was.
Yeah.
Right? But I can't remember, and it's just going to drive me nuts, and we're all going to have to go crazy because we can't remember what it is. But we'll go on, and it'll come to me later, and then I'll tell you. But the Sarah Sandoval that helped to fund this new shelter, which I'm guessing is the one that they want to go and show up and support and fund, the one that Oviedo just left, El Puente, the bridge, is one that Lolly B and Sarah Sandoval have in a number of things they funded. Here's her post about her friend Sarah Sandoval and how they were with people of another shelter that they traveled to support. She brought her dog, of course.
Yeah.
And she, I'm sure they probably brought donations and other support. If you could scroll down there, she just talks a lot about the emotional aspects. She tells these very moving stories about how the person burst into tears and how much they need. And there's Sarah Sandoval. There's Leti Herrera. So we know that Leti Herrera is the manager of Caritas Shelter, the one run by Mark Lane and Bertie Gutierrez, the one that's funded by them, and the Minority Humanitarian Foundation. Minority Humanitarian Foundation literally has on their page as a sub-project of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, Caritas Shelter. Okay? That's their shelter. They're running it. And in this post that you scrolled through really quickly there at the bottom, they talked about the fact that they're helping out, bringing supplies and support to this shelter on this particular day. But guess what? There's another building for sale just across the street.
Just send us some money.
And wouldn't it be great if they could just snap it up? This is what they do.
Buy the whole block.
They keep getting these places, because remember that each one of these migrants represents thousands of dollars, especially once they cross them into the United States. And in this next post, can you read this one?
Yes, Lolly B shared a page of best ways to help asylum seekers in Tijuana. Organize solidarity actions around the country. Civil disobedience to put political pressure on the powers to follow due process for seeking asylum. Here's a GoFundMe if you'd like to give some money towards that. Or send one of the lead doctoras in Tijuana on PayPal. And because of the complication of crossing large amounts of donations, sending money to people in Tijuana already can be preferred and also support the local economy there. So
Wiaka Eagleman.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wiaka Eagleman.
Wiaka Eagleman. Wiaka. That's his name.
Oh, well.
And Dwayne Redwater. They went with Evan Duke. Remember, everybody? Okay, I feel better now. Go on. I'm sorry about that.
There'll be a quiz on that later. Who was it, guys? Anyways, it has a bridge of love across the borders at the bottom. And what they're doing there, doing some shopping. And this is the sort of sympathy they get. And, I think that's a roll of toilet paper. We were to buy warm socks, sweats, shoes, and hoodies for the children. And that's what they like to do. They like to play on your sympathy. And there's Birdie there at the bottom. But she's supporting Bridge of Love across the border. I remember in the beginning when we were first looking at that organization, we're like, I don't know. This one, might be legit. No. In fact, my experience with all these characters is that you start out liking some of them. You start out appreciating what they do. Then after a while, you realize they're all crooked and they're all dirty. And then you have to deal with the fact that you liked them at one time. And then now you can see right through them. So
do you remember the donation drives at Standing Rock?
Oh, God, yeah. There's all sorts of drives. I mean, wood, lumber, They built houses out there, basically. They've donated vehicles. It all got torn down and burned. They burned the stuff.
They burned brand new vehicles. I was told by one of the men at Standing Rock that witnessed this, named Brennan Estacio, that Chase Iron Eyes lit a vehicle that he had just had donated, where he went and bought a new car, a new truck. He lit it on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's true.
Destruction of property. And they literally bulldozed thousands, probably millions of dollars of donations into the landfill.
Yep.
They just left things out there. They were taking things and throwing them away that were still in their packages. Do Americans have a penchant for pissing their money down a rat hole? I want to know. Mm-hmm. I want to know, because the Mexican people, when the first caravan was coming through, this giant caravan in October that went to Tijuana, when it was coming through the country, people were out in the streets holding glasses of water, bringing them food, bringing them clothing. Then they would stay in a town, drink in public, do drugs in public, have giant loud parties for days and days and days in towns with working people, near schools, practically having sex in the public view. They trashed the place where they were at. Sometimes they even rioted. And then they left everything in giant mounds of trash for the people there to clean. The poor people of the cities that they went through would go through meticulously recycling and cleaning and taking everything to try to salvage what these people simply left in a pile, in a heap. Mm-hmm. And the next time people in Mexico saw the caravan, they quickly turned.
Yeah.
What is wrong with us in America?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking.
Yep.
What is wrong with us? We have been watching this now for over a year. Which one of you is still donating to these people?
Yeah, really.
I want names.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. I don't understand. How are people still giving money to these border support network groups and people. Do you not get it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not see what they're doing? Did you miss it? The last time? This has been going on and on and on and on. And somehow people are still duped and think, oh, yeah, oh, these people need help. We better give them some money.
Mm-hmm.
We better give them some money. Even as you watch that they pocket it, that they defraud people, that they get people hurt, that they get people arrested, that they frame innocent folks, that they abandon the people that they claim to care for, and somehow they're still getting the support. I seriously do not understand it. I think maybe Americans that are still supporting this have a short memory, or maybe they fell and hit their heads. I don't know. Something is wrong. But Lolly B illustrates in this video clip that what they're literally doing, which is poverty porn, which is crying for money, begging for support for the migrants that they put in the hurt bag. They put them on the streets. They made them work for the protesters to violently clash against Border Patrol, to keep the streets dirty, the people giving money, the people worried and sending donations so that they could be dando lástimas, as we say in Spanish, so that they can make people feel sorry for them, while they avoided the shelters of the Mexican government while calling them racists, and sat in streets that were filled with raw sewage and rain with their kids for attention and media coverage. And she has the audacity to make a video crying and asking for help for them. Listen carefully to the poverty porn from Lolly B.
And so it's like going like molasses, it's like pulling teeth. Like, why is it this difficult to even give people the chance? So that means every day then there's that many more people that are sitting here. I mean, one of our Honduran friends today, I mean, it like breaks my heart, and I don't want to like exploit or like do anything like poverty porn, but they were expecting to go over today. They were expecting their number to be called today, and it wasn't, because only 2 numbers were called. And then, like, I don't want to cry, because I'm just like this father with his son, and he was just like calling, and he was just like so shy to ask, and then I had to like tell him like, no, it's okay, and he was like, no, I'm embarrassed, and he just like wanted money for food, just to eat, for him and his son to eat today, because he didn't have anything. And it's just like, of course, we're like, of course we're gonna help you, and we went and gave him some money, and he was just like, if I could help you, I would. One day, like, when I get over, and if he gets asylum and he works, he's like, I'm going to invite you out to eat because I want to give back to you. And we were like, no, like, it makes us really happy to be able to give some money for you to feed your son. And like, you don't have to feel bad. Like, we want to give that to you. And that's why we're here. But it's just like... no one should have to go through that. So, and at the same time, like, yes, I'm sitting in a comfortable apartment at this very moment, and there's lights, and there's a window, and there's hot water, and, I don't have to worry about being robbed or anything worse when I walk inside, and that's incredible privilege, and I am incredibly privileged to be in this room right now, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to stay for the next few days, and our caravan friends, where they're going to stay, and, like, and which shelter they're going to be able to go to that is not going to be withholding donations or, being two-faced and betraying the people and putting them in danger, or letting the corrupt police go, or cartels get involved, and, like, it's just... and not be outside and have food, like every day we go to this one restaurant and like we hang out with some of our caravaner friends, and then like their other friend comes up and they're just hungry, like they just want food, and we buy them tacos, and like, yes, this is the most economical thing. No, probably we should, have groceries for everyone and giant pots of rice and beans. But, like, sometimes it's nice to be able to buy someone a taco and, I don't know, horchata, and at the same time, like, the money goes quick. And staying in a comfortable place like this, the money goes quick. And, like, even we are, like, also don't want to, like, ask for money, but at the same time, it's like, I'd rather ask you all for money than have that man, like, hurt that much to ask us for money to feed his child.
And the Academy Award, the Academy Award goes to Lolly B.
Do you believe that, Duke? Do you
No.
believe that she has, she feels terrible about having to ask you for money, even for herself, because she's an able-bodied, full-grown woman who could easily work for a living, like the majority of the rest of us do. But guess what? She doesn't want to work. No. She wants to cry about how sorry she feels that she has to ask you for money. But you know what? It's a hell of a lot better than having to watch that poor man that she made sleep in the streets.
Yeah.
To help them do their smuggling operation and their con artivism and their mercenary activism against our own government, then to have him go and ask someone else for help. She'll tell the story for him. By the way, you're not going to be sending the money to that hungry migrant. You're sending it to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be clear. Okay? And they always tell people it's always safer to send money to people that are already in the ground. People are always really worried about who they should send their money to. Oh, I will take your money. She has no problems taking your money. You really believe she's sorry to have to ask for money again for herself, for anybody there, or for Sherry Foytland, even when she knows that it's for fraudulent reasons? Because she's done it before and she doesn't have any remorse.
Yep.
Even when she's caught, she has no remorse. Again and again and again, they're caught, they're confronted. The people on my feed, on my comments can tell you that I have confronted them. They have acknowledged on social media, they watched my shows, and their response has been, I don't care. I would do it again. I'm proud of stealing from people. Not in those exact words, but in similar words. You can go back and watch my Marcus Mitchell shows on which I talked about that, and you will find the evidence of which I speak. And it doesn't really matter. They know the cops are after them. They acknowledge that. In this next video, you're going to hear, and I want you to pay really close attention to these two videos because I'm going to share a clip right after that of another con artist known as Pendeja for Fraud. Paloma for Trump. And you're going to hear the same things, okay? Including the crazy. You're going to hear how they're making excuses for why they have to help the people in these mercenary activists working with the migrants from the caravan that they've recruited to do their dirty work in Tijuana. Why they have to raise money for them to get them apartments and to get them into these shelters where things aren't so strict and they don't have to, they're not like all the things she was saying in this previous video. Go back and listen to it. Go back and listen to it. And why they have to go to these shelters and why they have to help them out of these shelters or go this place or, while they're staying in the streets, why do we have to keep giving them donations to stay there instead of going to the government shelter? Listen carefully. And then I want you to tell me if you can tell the difference. Okay? Here's the next one. And this one, she's running scared from the cops, but she's still talking about how they're putting people up and need money for that.
Hello there. Wow. Okay. It's been a lot going on. But I really want to say thank you so much. We finally got a Facebook fundraiser going, and it's getting way more visibility than the other one, the GoFundMe. And I'm really grateful. People have been really chipping in, and it adds up. Nothing is too small. Everything goes a long way here. And I wish that I could say more of the details, but I can't because it's not safe. But I just want to shout out to the organization that has just been happening over the past few hours. It is incredible. There's been a situation that a lot of us have been aware about, and we've been okay, we need to work on this. We're working on that. We need to work it on this. Sorry, my brain is I'm kind of spinning. But it's awesome, and we're working it out, and the crisis level increased, but the volunteers showed up, and our caravan representation, our allies, they're just shown up, and it's amazing. What is going down of the ability of people to organize, collaborate, pool resources, communicate, do languages, different people, different movement, vehicles, stuff, safety, it's impressive. So I'm just really, really glad. I'm really glad for the ability to be part of something like this, for the proof that we really can organize and take care of ourselves as a community, that we don't need to rely on these governmental resources and stuff. And it feels really good to have the support of all of you. It feels really good to have the support of some of the other volunteers that we've been collaborating with, to be working with the caravanners, to be just able to deal with a situation that could literally be life or death. And safety or not safety, freedom or not freedom. And we are making sure that everyone is going to be housed and fed and safe and paid for in their spaces. And they will be set for at least some of them for a month. And it's amazing. I mean, is it the most ideal place? No. Is it the most expensive, wonderful place? No. But you know what? All these people are coming from a really dangerous place. And they've been, unfortunately, in a even more dangerous shelter, and now they are going to be in a truly safe environment where they can be sustainable and have sovereignty over their own dwelling. This is an amazing group of caravanners. Most of them are from Honduras. They've been really bonded together through a lot of experiences. They resisted, they were living in the street first. They were the ones who decided they didn't wait. I don't know if I should say that much. Okay, I'm going to talk about that later. It's hard because I really want to share what's going on, because I know you want to participate, and especially the people who've been giving your dollars. I really want to show you what we've been able to accomplish, but I also cannot compromise the safety and security of what's going on. And we know that there's NSA, hi Border Police, whatever. We know you're watching. My Facebook cuts out so many times a day. It'll be working fine, and then for 5 minutes straight, as I'm just scrolling through Facebook, it just quits and quits and quits. So people are, definitely trying to figure out what's going on. But you know what? We're not doing anything wrong. We're just taking care of people. We're making sure they're not homeless, or making sure they're fed, or making sure they're safe. And these people are in a really vulnerable situation. I mean, they literally left because they were vulnerable. But then being here in a foreign country with no money, literally all they have is what they can carry on their backs, what they've been able to carry for months, maybe now what they've obtained through donations. And they're completely reliant on help. And that's really humbling. We had this moment, we got this other family into another shelter, and they're just going to be safe and happy, and the kids just laid down on the mattress and passed out. They were just so relieved to just feel taken care of and in a good place. And so it's amazing. And we just had this moment, we were taking their stroller out of the car, and just bringing them there, and we were wow, literally they're trusting us with their fate, with their safety. We could be bringing them anywhere, and we brought them to a good place where they're taken care of, and we know the owner, and we know that they have integrity, and they're going to be fine.
Oh boy. That sovereignty part was, they have their own sovereignty. Their own sovereignty. Not sure what that meant.
Hold on a second. You keep talking.
Oh, well, I don't know about her at all. And it's, it's another way to raise more money. This idea that now we have to house all these migrants now. United States sent them back. They're kind of stuck in the middle. Now we have to raise a bunch of money and take care of them. They could have got worker visas in Mexico and gone to work. There's all sorts of opportunities for the migrants that wanted to pass through that whole country and get stuck at the border, knowing that they were never going to get through. And the ones that did, they ship right back to Mexico. They didn't ship them back to Honduras, and it's and now we've got to fundraise for these people because it's not their fault. Well, it is their fault, and it's her fault, that Lolly B. And now that she's back there, now she's back there because they built a shelter, and she's going to cash in on that and raise more money for that, and it just drives me crazy.
Well, let me tell you. Just like she said in the video that she knows that Homeland Security is watching her and
that part
Border
too.
Patrol. I also know that law enforcement, Border Patrol, people from Homeland Security and others, even in different governments, also watch my show. So, to all of those watching, including our president, I would like to point out that this woman is making the case for you against these criminals in this operation, telling you exactly the migrants they were controlling, getting housing, getting funding for, moving from place to place. It was those, quote unquote, listen, go back and listen to it, those who were staying in the streets, those who refused to go to El Barretal, those that were being organized by Paloma for Fraud's friend, Sonia, whose real name was actually Christina, although Pendeja for Fraud never figured that out for some reason, even though she did know that this woman was a coyote. No se hace pendeja, es pendeja. But in this case, she knew exactly what this woman does, and I'm going to prove it to you. You'll see. You'll see. When I say it's true, it's because I know it's true and because I have the facts to prove it with. Maybe I'm not going to show them to you today, but I got them. You know I always have the receipts. You know I do. So let me just say that this Pendeja for Fraud is in a video that comes from June, I believe, back when she was still constantly monitoring, I'm going to call it accompanying and or escorting, supporting and funding Maria Mesa, who she helped get asylum expeditedly, and with an escort from Congress members, including Nanette Barragan, who works with Al Otro Lado and Families Belong Together, all these people. And she talks about what I said in the show in which Mary Tando explained a video that showed Maria Mesa that she had on her phone because Paloma sent it to her, where Maria Mesa was asking Mary Tando for money and saying to her, oh, so you're the lady that's going to send us stuff and give us money. Well, this is what we need. We need a lot of stuff. We need this. We need that. We need the other thing. No, thank you. You kind American lady that's concerned about me. It's so cool that you care about our needs sitting over there in the United States where I want to go, and that you're willing to help give something to these hungry kids of mine, even though I won't do the bare minimum for my 5 kids by just taking them to the dang shelter support that is supported by the government of Mexico. Why? Because she, along with her 5 children, which she used as commodities, as pawns on a board to be shuffled around in front of the media. Some of the people that were watching the reporting that was happening around that time know that the children of those that remained in the streets were particularly used in the media with the allies of the Border Support Network in particular to show the horrible suffering of the people in the streets and why they needed to continue to give their support to them. That message was coming from Pueblos Sin Fronteras. It was coming from the activists of the Border Support Network, and it was coming from the ugly mouth, lying mouth of Paloma Zúñiga de Lint. Here is that clip. Listen.
I don't want to work with you. I started getting accused of being not only illegal in America, which is so far from the truth. I started getting accused of being a plant from Mexico. I'm reading your comments. Oh, thank you, Shirley. Hola, buenas noches, Victor. I started getting accused of... I was very nice to a family here in Tijuana that were migrants from Honduras. And they became well known because they were the tear gas family. The woman with her 3 or her 4 or 5 little children, and she had 5 total, but 3 or 4 little ones. And they were suffering a lot out here, guys. They were suffering a lot. I mean, it's it wasn't a show. They were actually suffering. It got to the point where they were eating their little whatever milk they had with a spoon. They didn't have water to even mix their food, their milk, and I thought it was really sad, and I actually confronted some of the organizers about it, and especially the lawyers, the National Lawyers Guild. I said, how is it possible?
So wait a minute. Hold up. Let me ask you a question. Your friend, the Coyota from Pueblo Sin Fronteras, Sonia, whose real name is actually Christine or Christina, as you saw in the post that Pendeja for Fraud put on her page asking people to not tell her anything more about Sonia. That Sonia was just cuckoo. Mm-hmm. I showed it to you on my show for those of you who have been paying attention, right? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
In that news clip, with the name of Christina, she calls her still Sonia, porque se hace pendeja, right? And she was the people organizing those people to stay on the streets. Your friend, your buddy that hugged you in the video and said about you, I love this woman. I love her. I love her. You remember that? That Coyota that makes $50,000? Huh? Paloma, you remember? Knowing how much she makes for crossing people? Would she tell you that when you were working with her, or when did she tell you that? Listen, navega con bandera de pendeja, but she knows exactly what these people are and exactly what they're doing and exactly how much they make and exactly where they're going to be. And she says in the video she confronted the National Lawyers Guild about it. But not the Coyota friend that's actually moving people across the border. Huh. Convenient. All right. Continue.
Possible that you can't even distribute water for these people. Like, they're out here starving to death. They're out, like, not only starving, they don't even have water. How can you do this to people? Like, bring them from Honduras, leave them out here, and put them in a situation where they have to either cross the border illegally, or they're going to literally, what do you do with 5 kids, 3 of them in diapers?
What did she just say? Where they have to cross illegally. She's blaming the National Lawyers Guild lawyer that she confronted for doing this to them. You're the one giving them donations so they could stay out in the street and not go to the barretal. No te hagas pendeja. You know exactly what you're doing. She's blaming the National Lawyers Guild. Yes, the crooked lawyers are enticing them and lying to them and making mad money off of them. Maybe you're jealous because they're not giving money from their cut to the coyotes working on yours. But the reality is, your friend Sonia is the one doing the keeping them in the streets. And she says, forcing them to cross illegally? Oh, how revealing. Did you see how she skipped over that little piece? Like she had trouble saying it. Like she was like, oh, shoot. I just gave away too much of the plan.
That's right.
Go back and watch it a little bit again. Go back and repeat that one piece. Rewind. Just like a smidge. A smidge.
legally, or they're gonna
No,
literally
more. A little bit more. A smidge. Right there.
how can you do this to people? Like, bring them from Honduras, leave them out here, and put them in a situation where they have to either cross the border illegally, or they're gonna literally, what do you do with 5 kids?
See, she couldn't even finish the thought. Where you have to cross the border illegally, and then she was like, oh wait, no. Nobody has to do that. Nobody has to cross illegally. She couldn't even finish the dang sentence. Listen some more. Listen some more.
Kids, 3 of them in diapers, with no diapers, okay, with no, because one of them was a little tiny one, like maybe a year and a half old, and no food, no water, no shelter, literally one night, guys, I had to go to San Diego. Okay, my friend put together a bunch of stuff, blankets, jackets, bags, food, and I got it, and I brought it back to them because you guys didn't know this, and I've talked about this once before, but they were actually kidnapped by somebody pretending to be a church. They were kidnapped. They were taken about 4 hours away from Tijuana.
Okay. You remember her vague posts about this where she says there was a church and that they went to this church. I think they were kidnapped. I don't know who took them.
Yeah.
Someone took them.
Yeah.
Someone kidnapped them. Now she knows that it was a group, a building, a place pretending to be a church. How the hell do you know these details of the things that she knows? Watch her eyes. Pendeja for fraud for the first time without her glasses. Look into her eyes. She lying. Watch it. Watch what she's doing with her eyes.
And they were able to escape because they wanted to take their children, and they said, well, we're going to cross your children first and then you can come later. And at that time the woman said no, that this doesn't sound good, and they took off running, and they ran for almost 2 hours until they were able to get a ride back to Tijuana. Okay. And
her and her 5 children ran for 2 hours? Dang! Like Roadrunner style?
Yeah, marathon.
And then just ran down the street for 2
Marathon
hours?
marathon
With
runners.
the 5 children, huh? Were they wearing shoes this time? Were they running through tear gas? Tell me more, Paloma.
good evening, Gigi. So, hi, Frank. And so they came back, they made it back to the shelter. And I remember, being in the shelter that night and running into them. And she said, I had to leave everything at that place where they took us to. They came here, they were pretending they were from a church. They took us to this dark house, 4 hours. It was a 4-hour drive to where they took them. And when Maria Mesa realized that they were trying to take her children and leave her behind, she ran out. At like 5 a.m. one morning. And so, again, they made it back to the shelter. They had nothing. They didn't even have shoes. The kids didn't even have shoes. So I went back to San Diego, and I told I called my friend. I told her what happened. She goes, oh my gosh, I'm going to, go grocery shopping. I'm going to send them blankets. I'm going to send them this. Because come on, guys, they're, I understand they're not doing the right thing, but you can't leave a whole family out here when it was like, 50 or 60 degrees in the middle of the night. Like, you can't do that, especially I had known them personally and stuff. And I saw what happened to them because 2 days before somebody was offering to help them with an apartment here in Tijuana. So I was helping them find an apartment, and just to get them to stay instead of crossing over illegally, I thought it was the right thing to do, and if I was wrong for doing that, then whatever. But I just didn't think it was okay for a family of 5 to be living out there. They had literally, no blankets. They had nothing. I said, even if they have an apartment, at least they're not freezing out here, So, as you all know, a lot of my videos started, I just got a really cool message. A lot of my videos started going viral, and people started reaching out to me. Okay. People started reaching out to me, but here's the thing about me. I have a pretty strong sixth sense, and when somebody doesn't resonate with me, they just don't. Okay, especially when you're in that situation where I was getting literally maybe 3-4 interviews a day, A lot of the different media outlets were reaching out to me because I was basically the only one, really the only American out here doing what I was doing. And so when you're approached by this one and that one and that one, you're just like, whoa, like chill, because I think, I don't know that you have the best intentions. And especially when somebody has your number and they're making a video trying to get people to contact you, and it's just like, really, why are you making a video in front of 500-600 people when you have my number and you can actually reach out to me? And so you're making me seem like I'm a bad person, and I'm not, Then always attacking people like Ben, we did a few interviews with Maria Mesa, and he was really respectful of everything here because that's how Ben is, okay? And one day Maria Mesa disappeared after Paola Mendoza from DC came out here and offered her money. They took her to some hotel somewhere. We didn't know what happened to her. And suddenly, Ben and I get accused of human trafficking. Like, what?
Wait a minute. Hold on. You mean to tell me you both, and then she's like soothing herself, right? You don't know where Maria Mesa went. They took her somewhere. This woman, Paola Mendoza, was around. They took her, who knows where. You didn't know where she went, and they took her to a hotel. Which is it? Did you not know where she went, or was she at a hotel? Did you hear her say that?
Yep.
They took her to a hotel. I don't know where she was. Okay, go on.
What is up with that? How can you accuse us of human trafficking? Like, that's a big deal. That's not a light accusation. That's not like saying, oh, you took some migrants, and are hiding them in a house somewhere. No, you are accusing us of crossing people.
Did she just say migrants hiding in a house somewhere?
Yep, she did.
How does she know these things? Hit it.
Over the border illegally. Like, that's a big deal. And then suddenly Maria turns up, and because she had been in a hotel in Playas of Tijuana for a few days. And, the New York Times does an article on me saying that.
Okay. Then, all of a sudden, Maria turns up because she'd been staying in a hotel in Playa for 3 days. And do you remember her posts? Her smug posts telling everyone, everybody was saying that Maria Mesa had disappeared into the United States and had been smuggled into the United States, and that I was possibly involved somehow in that. You were wrong. Because look, she was at a hotel. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Looks a little bit different now, don't it?
Yep.
Doesn't it look different now that we're analyzing it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen some more to what this cray-cray lady is saying.
That I had been stalking them because they grabbed my pictures off the internet because I was really close with the children. And then they take that and they say, well, see, we told you. Even the New York Times is calling it out. She's a stalker. Really? So last week, you're harassing them and stalking them, because that's what the New York Times said in order to get asylum in America for them. Not the New York Times, but the people that were claiming the asylum and everything. That's the story that they used. And so here you have, first I was trafficking her 1 week. Next week, I was harassing her and stalking her. So people started catching on, guys. People started catching on to the way we were being slandered and the way we were being treated. And a lot of people took sides, because at that point, then it became, oh, she's a narcissist and she's selfish and she's this. No, I'm just careful. I've always been careful recently because I had a bad experience, for example, with a man in New Jersey 2 years ago that I was really nice with. And he took me being nice and me being really, nothing more than nice and friendly to, in his mind, when he's probably about 20 years older than me, in his mind thinking that I wanted something to do with him when his own wife told him she wants nothing to do with you. Like, she's not interested in you. It's obvious. She's just nice, So I stopped being nice for that reason, because, when you start being nice to people like that, sometimes they take it the wrong way, and it could cause a lot of problems. And then, so at that point I became narcissistic, selfish, a bitch, this, that. And no, the truth is that I was out here working on my own, really exposing my life. I didn't go home for the month of the last week of November and whatever period of December I was here last year. I didn't even go home. I had to move to a whole different, area far from where I live, because I felt like a lot of people, maybe I was a little paranoid, but it was better to be safe than sorry, and see, here you have someone like Alice. It's I'm explaining something because a lot of people are getting contacted. A lot of people are being harassed. A lot of people are being divided. And it comes to a point where you have to step up and say something instead of fighting with comments here and there and comments here and there and comments here and there. It's better to address it. I have a woman named Heather who's been contacting people everywhere. And it's like, Heather, why don't you contact me directly if you have a problem with me, instead of going to this person and that person and that person and dividing, your own movement. Like, you're dividing your own movement, and if anything, you're working against your cause. You're supposed to be so patriotic. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to have, a good audience, whatever. Why would you go after me instead of reaching out to me when I've never met you? I've never done anything to you. I do understand that you're friends with what's his name in New Jersey, and I get that, but that's not a reason enough for you to be private messaging people about me, and it's not okay. It's not, yeah, exactly, Heather. Yeah, it's not okay for you to do that, and you're dividing the movement. If anything, that's all you're really doing. I don't have a problem whatsoever with anyone in New York. They a lot of the guys in New York do a lot of great work. They're everywhere, Florida, New York, and so for you to come at me from that, like in a cowardly way, because when you do that behind closed doors, that makes you a coward. And I understand that we all have issues, and we all have issues, but that's not a way to deal with them, And again, I'm very careful. I try to give everybody a chance, but sometimes I also make mistakes. In the beginning, in December, I had a lot of people contact me. Hey, contact this guy. Go work with him. And I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe, maybe. And people started popping up doing the same thing, and I said that's fine, but it turns out it probably wasn't my best decision. I probably made a mistake, and I can see that now, because when you're loyal, when you are real, you don't turn on people. You just don't. That's all. That's a very American thing. Loyalty is a very American thing. And I wish we could, us Hispanics could be more that way. We could be more loyal and more supportive of each other. We lack that in places like Mexico and other places.
Yeah. Hey, Mexicans, why don't you stop being backstabbers? Huh? Could you try that, Latinos for Trump? Could you try not being backstabbers? Because, it would be more American. You would be acting more American if you did. Do you listen to the crazy things she says about Mexicans when she's representing Latinos for Trump?
Yep.
Supposedly? And she's making a video attacking how many people so far?
Yeah.
I've lost count. I am dizzy
Me too.
right now. How many people did she attack in this video while she's trying to tell you the story of this family that she did a lot of good for and helped, and the kids, and they were kidnapped, and they ran for hours like superhuman beings. And she didn't report it to the police. None of it makes any sense. The stash houses, everything else that she says, she literally sounds crazy. Mm-hmm. Now, finish this, please. Dear God, let it end.
Places. We even have memes of how we pull each other down instead of build each other up, you know? Thank you, Mario. And you know, they started attacking me about my animals. Like, you know, there was a woman in Texas attacking me about my animals, and I was like, you know, what? Like, wow, this is incredible. And I understand that it comes with the being known and being a public figure or whatever, but it comes to a point where it's like the truth really has to be.
That's it.
Okay, now a lot of people are asking themselves, how long ago was this video?
Yeah.
It's been a while, guys. It's going on it's from June. So 3 months ago.
June, July, August, September. 4 months.
4 months ago. You might be asking yourself, those of you who have just started watching my show and have just learned that pendeja is a fraud, you might be asking yourselves, how did I miss all of the signs? They were all there. She sounds just as bat poop crazy today as she did then. So how did I miss it? Why do I now see clearly and hear clearly the crazy, the lying, the pathological, unhinged ranting about all of her enemies, the paranoia, the pendejismo, the massive pendejismo, incompetence? How did you miss all of that? It's hard to tell. But you are hearing it now, right? Mm-hmm. You can hear it. It's clearly there. Now that I've compared it to the other frauds and phonies, side-by-side comparison, you could hear that and go, oh, yeah, that's really crazy. That's nuts. Like the Sonia she was talking about. Like her friend Sonia, whose real name was Christina, the smuggler that she's friends with. Crazy.
It is.
Right? Because they lie, because they have to lie, because they're pathological liars and criminals. And next, we're going to dig deeper. Are you ready for the super chat, Duke? Can you handle the super chat?
I sure
Can you handle the reality that is going to come literally down like a hammer on my super chat with Mary Tando coming up next? Do you like what you hear? Do you want to hear more? If so, join our super chat
on Duke 1517
on YouTube on Duke 1517. And if you want to support our work, if you like what you're listening to, feel free to make a contribution to keep us going, to keep our station's work going, so we can bring you more amazing programming here on Mexican Crossing Lines. You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Thank you, and see you later.